Cool. Let's get started. My computer is screaming very loudly right now because I have this screen open and another screen with the hours displayed. So I've written your notes. So this is right now just for your privacy. This is all you see. These are the submission of you guys work. Welcome back to week 2. Thank you for submitting week 1. All of you submitted. That's why you're here. If not, then I quietly go to the person who did not submit and I say, can you please leave? Because the policy is you have to submit to continue class. So Chris, that's what you do tomorrow. Everyone, I'd like to introduce Chris. Christopher Kong now, is our Android teacher. This time he's teaching tomorrow. He's here to just say hi and to see how Ruby is going. And we're very honored to have Chris, an experienced software engineer from Silicon Valley. So you can ask him about what it's like to work at Google, Yahoo back in the days and stuff. So I hope that Chris will bring a lot of Android awesomeness. And then we also talk about all this new technology we have to learn ourselves. Good to have Chris. Chris, you have anything to say to the class? All right. Good to have you, Chris. And he's also around during office hours. We call them tutorial session on Saturday. So if you came on Saturday, you probably saw him in the other room. Okay, so a quick recap of the submission. Overall, great job, guys. You all really committed. Putting in hours to finish. Let me try to see if I can scroll. All the required features. Some of you spend time and do the optional ones. And we have some pretty good submission to show. Like some creativity in the layout. And just highlights a few cases. So here's Alberto's app. Yeah. So on the one hand, it's nice with the a slightly different layout. And here you use the bootstrap element with both horizontal and vertical. Is nice, but you see the earlier screen, you did not really style all of the form elements. Yeah. So normally develop a good habit to do that. I do like that. Yes, you keep the layout like basically. Sometimes you do vertical, right? Divide into different columns. Now also sort work quite well, and again use the grid layout that works well. We have some folks that just work on a lot of features, and this is also nice, as you can see from this over here. It's really awesome how you see the related dishes, right? Like you can go and see the detail and then add stuff to the order. In this particular one, he spent a lot of time finishing all these extra features. This is how you learn all this, a lot of new stuff. Now, we also here to help you, remind you what exactly you learned this past week, right? And sometimes we just figure it out, but we don't write down. We also forget. How did I do it again? Right? So along the way, it's a pleasure to review this amazing submission, and then we'll try to give you some feedback, and hope you can improve a little bit up on that. So then another one, just to give you an example, a taste of it. Let's pick one that let's say it's been reviewed. It'll look like this. We actually look through. It's a bit hard to see, huh? We look through and think about. Reminds you, right? They somewhat a template, but it does take individual attentions to the homework. I'd like you to think about, okay, in this homework 1, you're now very familiar with the routes file. That's the gatekeeper at your Rail and web application. In some web framework, they don't have a separate route file. It's built into the controller and some other things. But Rails keep it clean with a convention in the route file. So you learn how to do, declare route, declare custom route with controller and action, and then declare nested resources, right? You know that you call resources food items that give you the 7 default routes, and then you can do a nested route inside that. And then along the way, you struggle with relationship between models, has many belong to, and then how you can use where active record query, right, to select certain items from that model, and then how to join that with another model. This is something you have to do every week. It gets harder every week anyway. So just be really aware that you can change where. You say, food items dot where, name I like some query, right? Or order dot where, maybe count number of items in the order, right? You actually can join, you count, you find all the order that has more than one item in the cart. The feature to add more than one item to a cart is only a few of you can do that. It's a bit trickier. If you only do one item in one cart, that's okay too. So mainly these main concepts, but you guys did emailing, some did SMS, and then some did scrolling. Yeah, we'll get to those. You repeat them in another assignment. So if you spend a lot of time in homework 1, it does save time when you do homework 2. Don't worry about it. I want to take maybe this particular one just as an example how we can improve it further. So if I clone this app, just suddenly I feel like you guys are so quiet. Maybe I try to be helpful here. Recap homework lifestyle, like life. I haven't cloned this one, but hopefully I can do something about it. Hopefully the internet's not too bad. Okay, let's close this. Come on. Why don't we do this here? Close other tabs. Okay. It should be a small app. Some of you, for some reason, I see that you commit a temp folder. That should not happen because it's already ignored by your git ignore file. Rails is nice. When you start a project, it already ignores a few, all the important, unnecessary files, right? So if I see you commit those files, it just make it harder for us to git ignore. Well, go to that folder. Restaurant app, right? These are the files that Rails decide is not necessary. Log folder, temp folder. Let's look into this app. You all will have very similar mistakes, so that's why first time I'm just gonna preview one. So I normally say, hey, get rid of all these extra lines. So this looks pretty clean. I see that these two routes are quite similar, so instead of this menu thing, maybe you can just do route path. No need to do that. I normally also check for model, so the main model like food item, right? And it's great to have validations, explore them, but don't have this extra space here. Just like remove random new line. You can have one line to separate the logic that way. Just remove the empty spaces. Okay. And then in this case, obviously, you could have put the name in here in the URL here to make it more flexible. You can actually display dynamically what image to show. Let's say if you go to a controller, remember after I look at the route file, I will see that. Oops, sorry. Let's make it darker. Okay, I see that this guy has, you know, Ming, right? Has a menu action. That's the where the main thing happened. So then I look at this menu actions. Like, what can you notice from this? This, in general, your controller looks a little big like this. I'd like to make it a little, how to say, more concise. So I'll move some logic over. Look at this, right? Sort type is just a param and everything else is under food item. What if I can just say food items is food item dot sort, and then you just, you know, pass in the sort type. Right? This whole thing, you can just put it away, right? Does that make sense? So where do you bring it? You bring it over here. You bring it to your class method. So maybe you call it sort, and then here will be like maybe query, right? And in this guy, you actually say maybe case query. If it's named, then you sort by this. But because I move all of this stuff to food item already, there's no need for food item dot all anymore. So I can just remove those guys. Oops, sorry. Remove. When I just call order, because it's self, so it will just be food item dot order. That's enough. So dot all is implicit. Okay. So technically, you can do even more by combining a search query. So maybe you just here, you know, you name it a query method, and then you pass in params search and params sort, right? And just your controller becomes really simple. And then here you will be like, you know, query search and then sort. So in this case, it's this sort, but the same idea. Then you can say if what search. If it's nil, then don't do anything, right? Does that make sense? This one makes sense. I will have to combine what is called chaining after I search and after I sort. So maybe that's when, for example, I can name it anything, but like, you know, this is all. But if it's search, then you can say all dot what? Search, the search up there, right? Here you can do where or maybe search. That's a bit funny, but I'm calling his search. So then I have to pass it back to this variable. And then down here, actually I don't put it to search item. I just do scope dot order. Same thing here. This will be scope dot like that, right? Yep. So scope dot. It's not the prettiest code. It's just an idea that you can simplify. Now it's still not correct yet. What is the return value? Return values, and you know, you can be creative, but you know, in this case, maybe I say case sort. Then my scope become scope order name, scope this and that, right? And then I return scoped. So the last value is return scope here. Technically, if you remove this, it's also the return value. Up to you. Its readability is important, so don't try to be too clever and not clear to your friend who reads your code. So if you make it very clear like this, your friend actually can save a lot of time, and your future self, right? 1 week later, you read your code, it still makes sense. Order, now you just very quickly, you know, if you only put in the attribute, that's order by ascending. So it's the same as pointing this to ASC. But if you want to order reversely, you can do pass in the second attribute, which is descending. So what's another file that maybe is worth looking at? Say if I look at the schema file, you know, after you run db migrate, this is your general and your final schema of your database. Then you also have an idea what this person is trying to do. This impression gem is you know, track the view, so they can track any type of object that's outside the scope of this assignment. You see food items, right? Image, everything here you sort of see it makes sense there. You see that, okay, he implement command with rating, implement order, but it's only one food item in that order. You add the order to the, no, add the food item to the order, and then you fill out the name and coupon, and then you submit, and it's done. Some of you may want to implement another table. It's called order detail or order item, right? In that case, this order is more like a cart, right? Then you cannot put food item there. You have to put food item over here. And then in this order detail, you have to have an order ID so that you have an order that has many order details. And then an order detail is just tying, it's just linking your food item here and then your order over here together. That's why the foreign key, underscore ID, food item underscore ID, order underscore ID, they have to be in the order detail model, right? Yeah? A lot to think about. Before the user checkout confirm, you create an order or not. So in general, this is a fun exercise. A cart is something that, you know, the user add things to a cart, but it's not really paid for, right? Some website save this and then they clear out every day because people have all these cart records. But then you have so many visits, it's not important, it's not useful, right? Only when people place an order, then it's a real record. So if you use the Rails 5 book, there's a chapter on that. And if you like that book, you can also talk to me to get it. Okay, so I think we're done with the homework. I'm going to go ahead and get to what we do today, this week. This week is on authentication. There's not much authorization because, well, we'll see if we have time. And who here can tell me what is authentication in a web app? Quân. Yeah, that's a check for username and password to see if the user is a member of our database, right? So Nam, what about authorization? Do you know what
Authorization is when you allow a type user to do something, for example, a link.
Okay. Great. So authentication check for your identity, right? Who you are? Do I know you? If not, can you please sign in or sign up? Authorization check for your permission access, right? First, you have to authenticate. Are you who you say you are? And then after that, oh, let's see what access you have. So it's like, you know, this is your passport and this is your visa. And this is you go anywhere in the world. These things very important. You see in the slides. I just made that up, but you know, if it's wrong, if you in the slides we have some examples of the blunders that even really big companies have. LinkedIn, you know, what else? Even Dropbox and a bunch of other guys. They, you know, they just think that just ask for username and password is enough, and then check it against the database is enough, and then the company grows so fast, no one pay attention to it, and then have I been pointed to a website to prove you guys? Have I been owned, right? This means you can enter your email here and it will notify you if your account is compromised. What happens here? You see 165 million LinkedIn accounts are compromised. I remember the day it was released, like 2011 or something. Someone posted a huge file to Pastebin, and in there is encrypted password. So it's like, what's wrong with encrypted password, right? So they did that right, but they do two things. One, they encrypt user's password using SHA, hashing algorithm. Who here knows SHA? SSA. So just like, you know, here's your string, here's the algorithm, just like turn it into another string, and you can actually reverse it with the key. Then that's one thing that LinkedIn did. Second, they when you convert from A to B, you sort of need a key, right, and a salt. So LinkedIn back then, they like just use the default SHA key. So it's like, you don't normally, a salt can be something else that add an extra layer of protection. If you don't have that, then you can't decrypt. So then Sorry, I was, by the way, just now I was wrong about being able to decrypt it back, but I'll explain. So this SHA thing happens, they discovered first, LinkedIn used SHA, and second, they just use the default salt. So then you cannot look at this encrypted password and decrypt it. It's meant to be one way. But what you can do is you take the entire English dictionary and also do the whole SHA on it, and it's very easy and fast. So even then, I also wrote some simple test script, like converting some word like I love like the word password, or like I want to be rich or millionaire, and then you hash it, and then you check this encrypted hash against this huge text file. It's actually not that big. You download it to your computer, and then it actually exists. You see what I'm saying? So someone with the email like davidsmith@gmail.com actually used the password P4SSW0SD RD. You may think it's just really common when you have these many users. So a lot of things. Then from there, obviously, they know your password. They just go and try all the other social networks and everything else. So then one lead to another, right? And then maybe someone just happened to be a group admin, and then they hack authentication, but they may find a platform that they can also hack authorization, and they have more access and download more users. So some of it also because of security issues, like GitHub had this bug that most Rails website have. It's a security issue back in the day. Is that what's that? It's your phone? Okay. Actually, they are quite minor, but not GitHub, but some Rails site, right? They reveal the secret key, and then people can actually hack into your Rails app. Knowing your secret key, it will actually can fake being any user, right? It can just fake the session because it know how to encrypt it and decrypt it. For session encryption and decryption, it's actually two-way. For password, it's one way. So this is a good site if you like to stay safe. Well, they collect your email, but the guy is a security researcher, so he only do good things to it. What we learned today is that we use a bcrypt gem. Bcrypt is similar to SHA, but SHA is good for hashing your current code base. It's just a bunch of words, right? String into a short string, uniquely represent. You see the get this SHA, right? That string is unique to the current code you have. That string represents your code in the tree of revision. But bcrypt is similar, but it's not used for that. It's used to encrypt information, like let's say your password, and you can say how slow you want it to be. It's called a cost. And it's only between 1 and 10. But now with bcrypt, when you sign up on my website, I use bcrypt. I can only encrypt with my current encrypting algorithm. I can only encrypt maybe 100 users a second. Right? That's maybe 10. But if you use SHA, maybe you can do like a million, a billion. Then then obviously it's much easier to take any large file of text and just try and SHA it, right? We also need to set a salt, which makes it extra safe. So if you do it right, it should not be possible to hack, right? The way that back then the internet was hacked. So LinkedIn was affected, Dropbox, GitHub, they all affected in the earlier side you see. All right, that's tied to our homework. So I'll go in and straight away code this homework app. And on Wednesday, we do a lab. So today is mainly user and around user authentication stuff. And you will also work together, but you implement your own authentication system. Yeah? Log in, log out, sign in, sign out. So let's do it ourselves. And so some stuff you obviously don't get until you try the lab, or you can go back and watch the video. Any question before I start working on the assignment?
This is a device gem.
The what gem?
Device.
Yeah, yeah. So device jam, you can use it from week 3 onwards. I want you to do it from scratch. So obviously, device help. It's even safer. With device, it follow all these procedures, but also track the IP you logged in. It also checks that if you keep trying from the same IP, how many tries it will let you do before it lock you out. Let's say disable this account for 2 hours. Or you can also say, hey, you try it, I'm gonna make it slower for you to try the next time. Security is all about these layers, right, of protection. So these gems just add one more layer, like, okay, checking by IP, right? Or this is checked by username. This guy tried to access too many times per minute. These are just little things that make it a little harder. At the core, though, it's all the same. We use decrypt to encrypt. Yeah. So some people do not like device because it adds the view, add the controller, and then if you create a user and you need to add save company information to your user account, create maybe a company organization when the user sign up. Now suddenly you have a custom login process that if you implement it yourself, you feel more comfortable. It's very clear. If you use device, then you like go here and params.permit, after sign up here, and you change the view here, change the callback here, and just too many steps, right? So it depends on you use. Most of the time though, device does serve the purpose quite well and people love it. As you become more experienced, then you can just throw it away and then code it up yourself, like we do today. All right.